My name is Mikel Ameen, the world changer, and yeah, I'm here to change the world.
Up to the time, them for no stop, and I'm the original Nigerian, don't talk and ride and dream, and I ride out at midnight without a curfew. Lord, it sounded like a helicopter.
The aim of my platform is to inspire people to become more creatively free, to inspire people to think for themselves, and to inspire people to understand that they are the architects of the reality that they live. See, the right answer would be her mind. But honestly, innit, he's like, you shut up, you lying. No, my favorite feature in a woman, just how when a woman's confident in what she has, she makes it look extra special. Like, I see tall women, right? You know, some people say, oh, you know, I don't like tall women for it, you know, it makes them feel emasculated, you know, whatever, emasculated. I'm like, there's certain tall girls, and the way they rock their longness, it's like, yes. You just out here with your long self, just walking like a, just gracefully, just, do you know what I mean? And then you've got these, and then equally, you've got these really small, petite women. They're just, and the same, they're small, but they're like giants. You feel their spirit, their boldness. I don't know if there's one particular, I love, like, black women, that's me, all day. I love the lips on a black woman, the body, eyes, face, jawline, how the nose complements the cheekbone, you know what I'm saying? How the hair goes with, you know, her shoulders. I like a woman's neckline, do you know what I mean? I look at weird things, do you know what I mean? Yeah, like I be looking at weird things like that. Great question, that's a dope question. How would I define a queen? A queen is just a whole person, meaning they express self-love at the highest level. They reflect it. You look at them and you can see this is a person who, regardless of how they look and how the world perceives it, they're very centered with who they are. You understand? It's not about what she wears. It's not about, you know, necessarily what she decides to do with her life, but it's how much peace and contentment she has with doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's not about her being this, again, infallible creature, God's creation, which in some ways she is, or this hypersexual being, again, which it's a part of her too. It's about when she is those things, when she expresses those parts of herself, how at peace. There's certain girls who can burn as much sage as they want, wear as much head wraps, but they're not at peace. And it's not women alone, it's as humans. And so when I say a queen, and when I see a queen, I'm like, I'm more saying, you know yourself, and you love yourself, and I feel that, you know? Male influences, man. I've got so many for different things. I'm a rapper, so let's talk music. For the art of rap, Nas. The art of rapping, Nas. Because of how he grabs a piece of your mind and takes you fully on that journey. You don't realize you've been walking down the whole path of him until he's maybe hit the chorus or something like that. Nas takes you into the depth, and for how balanced he is and truthful he is to himself. Again, I'm really into dualities, batteries, pluses and negatives. I don't like rappers who just try and give you one side of themselves, whether that's the conscious or the gangsters. I like people who can be like, yo, like I was at my mother's bedside crying. And in the same way, like, yo, me and this girl was drunk off Hennessy and we was doing the damn thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I like people who can go there, do you know what I mean? I love that. And Nas was that guy for me. in terms of being, Tupac, his being, you understand? I feel like he was aligned with God's mission for him. Tupac. When you're constantly told by society you ain't nothing, the moment you present yourself to society as a black person, you're already in the minus. You're already in the minus. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why we focus so much on the material stuff. I've got to show up in a Benz because I need them to know that I'm about my shit. You know what I'm saying? I've got to show up in a Benz. Do you understand? Because being black and just showing up is not enough. They're gonna think I'm one of these guys out here. Do you understand? Whereas a white guy, they're just calm. They show up in a white t-shirt, cross their legs, in a cargo pants and say, yeah, I own Google. Do you know what I mean? And you believe him. He's unassuming. He's a white guy. He's got to be, he's a blank canvas. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas a black guy, you're in the minus. So immediately when you come, you're like, bro, man, I can't be looking like this. I've got to be Chris. I've got to pull out the Benz. I've got to wear that belt. I've got to rock them trainers. I've got to have this girl. Come on, 2 black people rolling up is double negative in terms of that mindset. You understand? So if I'm a black man, I'm rolling with this black girl, we're rolling up together. If my mindset is I've got to constantly prove myself to society that I'm not good enough and I need these material attachments to make me good enough, then I'm not gonna go for a black woman in that way, because she is not a symbol of success. She's not the archetype of beauty in this place. Do you understand? You know, so I need the either white or light-skinned woman who looks closest to a white person. That's usually what's played out. Who did it? No, joking. If I could ask Malcolm X anything, I wouldn't. I guess it's if I could have the mind of Malcolm X now. Like, if he was watching this stuff with me, like if this stuff were playing out with me, with him there, I'd be like, what? I was like, you've been through this. What's the next step? What actually needs to happen? Now that you've had your trials, tribulations, because I truly believe he died before he could crystallize where he wanted to go. And that's what I'd ask him. Where was you trying? What was next for you? You know? But I think I could, like, if I truly wanted to know that, I could decipher that from listening to him, reading, understand where his education's coming from and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that would be my question. What's next? What is supposed to happen next? My favorite meal. Woo, child! We got on to the good questions. My favorite meal. Ooh. Alright. It's not meal because I'm a person who, like, I'm vegan, and so it's things. Do you know what I mean? It's not meal because every meal is different. With a vegan, you're never having, you know, jerk chicken and rice. That's not how vegans' life is set up. It's like, it's creativity. Yeah, it's like we might use the same ingredients but in like 80 different ways. Do you know what I mean? So my favorite meal. One of my favorite meals, okay, so my sister makes this plantain and chickpea curry. Yeah, you lot felt that one, innit? Yeah. She knows what to do with the plantain. She makes this plantain and chickpea curry. You can YouTube it, she breaks it down as well, how to do it. Banging! Jesus, banging. That, bad. My wife makes this, see, I grew up here, the first dish I learned how to make was macaroni and cheese. So as a vegan, you know, when you're vegan, you start noticing what you're allergic to, wheat, gluten, obviously dairy. It broke my heart having to give that up. And then she came through with the homemade cheese. Oh, do you know what I love? I make a mean mushroom burger. Like my last name, a mean mushroom burger. Another thing that's banging. This is gonna be turned into a cooking class. Another's banging. Wait for it. Deep fried cauliflower. Oh my God. Try it. Tastes bad. Last one. I used to bang out mince back in the day. You know what kills that? Mung beans with Scotch bonnet. You just like kind of, you don't fry it like deep fry, but you pour some oil and let that sizzle. Put Scotch bonnet on that, bit of paprika, you know, garlic and salt, Himalayan salt. No table salt, we don't do the table salt. Bit of that Himalayan. Bad! 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 Jesus. I'm about to go home and eat, bro. Bad. And lastly, if you're ever in Brixton and you're passing by Healthy Eaters, do not leave without getting a Callaloo patty. It doesn't sound like it's gonna be a nuclear bomb, but trust me, it is an explosion. Banging. Callaloo patty. Remember I told you that, bitchin'. Banging. The most interesting thing I know about my history. Yeah. Funny enough, do you know what, yeah? It got to a point when I was like 17, 18, I was like, I'm done with this slave narrative. Because here's the thing. Every single movie, anytime we talk about black history, there's two things, main things they cover is you were a slave and then you were fighting for your freedom. So when we talk about black history, we always celebrate, we always give you the slaves, we talk about the rebellions, Toussaint Louverture, Nat Turner, you know, Harriet Tubman, and these people need to be spoken about. We talk about civil rights, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and the less talked about, but who needs a lot more coverage is Marcus Garvey. Very important black man. But we only deal with those things. But what really kind of sparks my interest in regards to my history is always about pre-slavery. How are we before? And more recently, I've been looking at like the Moorish Empire, the Mali Empire, like Northwest Africa, pre-slavery. Like, you know, the things that in our antiquity that makes us great. You know, like when I learn about like the Moors and how they're the ones that civilized Europe and took Europe out of the Dark Ages, you know, and ruled Europe for 700 years. And they're the reason that we have the science that we have. They're the reason that even the concept of university was started by these African men who were coming from places like Timbuktu. You understand? So the concept of university, the fact that we go to university, places like Oxford and these concepts were started by African men, and even the designs of those buildings, the shapes of how some of these cathedrals and how they're built is all coming from what these African men brought to Europe. Irrigation, toiletry systems, you know, we always see Africa with the kids, you know, in bad sewage and flies over their face and all of these things, and we think, oh, they don't understand how to be clean, they don't understand. No, but these things were brought from Africa. When Europe was in the Dark Ages, they were bathing twice a year. You know the funk you have after you've been on one bus? These times you use deodorant. Imagine these lot were moving out here twice a year. The food that they were eating, just above raw meat. So when you go to Europe and you're in Italy and you're in Spain and you're in these places and you're tasting their cuisine, you're like, yeah, spice in that. That's because black people was like, yo, that's your one paprika in that. See that? Just season that up, little piece. You understand? You know what I mean? Those things excite me. To know that the richest man on earth today is a man called Mansa Musa. A king who's richer than any man who's ever lived, but more than that was generous with his wealth. He built a mosque. I'm gonna prepare you for this. He built a mosque every Friday. Most man go mosque and pray on Fridays. He built one every Friday. That's a part of his legacy. Do you see what I'm saying? These were the kings. He gave out so much gold on his pilgrimage to Mecca that the stock market for gold plummeted. It became worthless because man just said, yeah, I yield that. You know what I'm saying? So like when I learn about these things, it makes me sit and be like, this is where I come from, so I know where I'm at, ain't it? I know what you're selling to me right now in this century as achievement is a lie, and you're trying to distract me from my true greatness. When you know you come from slavery and you know that we've been fighting for our rights, you appreciate a little job, a little degree. But when you learn you come from the people who literally brought the sciences, brought the concept of university, brought culinary skills, fashion, art, decor, language, literal world changes. When you know you're coming from that, then you start to ask yourself, what am I even doing here? The question I ask myself when I learn those things is, what am I doing? What legacy am I putting here? Because if I'm just gonna be walking around with a piece of paper saying some white person validated my existence because I learned how to be a good person in their system, that's not good enough for me. When I know my ancestors are the one that were the archetype for this whole thing that is now my reality. Do you know what I mean? From astrology to the first compass, you know what I mean? To mathematics. Do you know what I mean? Language, music. Well, we know that one. Do you see what I'm saying? You know? And so just like even like when branding, when you hear the word slave, you think of black person. You can't help it. It's used so much next to our image and likeness and our name that it's become us. But when you learn the word slave comes from Slavic people. That word was used because the Moors ruled over the Europeans, who were Yugoslavian, Czechoslovakian, and there's so many other Slav nations. When you're walking in a nation and it's you and the Slavs, and you point, you say, who's that person? Oh, that's a Slav. And the Slavs were their servants. So yeah, that's a Slav. So the Slav became synonymous, because imagine you go 700 years of like a person being your servant, then their name becomes synonymous with servant. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So that Slav became synonymous with the servant, you know? But now we associate it with black people. You know what I mean? So split reverse. So even knowing all of those things allows me to even detach myself from that even more. Within the word is the history, you know? All of that, man. So those things really excite me, because then I truly believe we're going into the era of that again. So those things, you know, black excellence, the greatness, richness of Africa is coming out again in so many different ways. And so when I learn those things, it encourages me. I was like, that was before, that's in me. Everything I see, everything that's great about Britain, right, America, and all these things was something that they got from an African or Africa. And that's the real history that needs to be studied. Hey! I like ranting. So I run a lifestyle brand called World Changer Life. This is my brand, World Changer Life. And really, the things that I said that I'm about is what my brand is about. It's really about helping people, you know, be more confident in themselves and understand that they are the architects of their reality. And the way I do that is by pushing the envelope in music, visuals, creating clothing to accompany the mindset, and creating experiential events. Now, one of the things I started doing last year was taking people to the countries that I'm performing in. So last year we took up to 100 people to Paris for I performed at Afro Punk. This year, we're taking 10 people to Kenya in October for a 7-day kind of expedition. You know, I really want to encourage, kind of like the premise of my whole EP, which is about finding my identity. I really want to encourage people within the diaspora to go to Africa for leisure, for recreation, for, you know, for business, you know what I mean? And so we're going to be exploring Africa. We've got people coming from America on this trip who've never even left their country. You know, we've got people coming from England, Caribbean, and even other parts of Africa who just want to see a whole new side to Africa in the East. So we're doing that, and at the end of that, we're going to have a concert in Nairobi, which is going to be held by me and some of my favorite Kenyan artists.
That's amazing.
Worldchangerlife.com. Worldchangerlife.com. That's my website. Mikel Ameen, at Mikel Ameen on every single social media you can think of. And go and listen to my music. I've got a new project out called My BBC, and I feel like it's something that every millennial can relate to, because it's a well-rounded view of where I stand as a young black British man in the world. Little more. Yeah.
Oh, girl! You gonna hit me with that? Girl! Cause you know they won, boo. You tried it. My favorite hairstyle this week. I can tell you that.